Your SEC Insider hit this morning is driven by Mack Hike Auto Group, Ford dealership, Chevy dealership, Ram, all driven by Mack Hike Auto Group. And, of course, Mack Hike Ford, I-55 North in Jackson, number one Ford F-150 Ford dealership in the state of Mississippi and one of the top ones in the Southeast. Don't forget about that four-door Ford Bronco. They're loaded up and ready to see you this week. It's been a little bit of a crazy show today. Ole Miss fans devastated with their loss to Florida. They spent the money. They had the schedule along with Texas, Missouri, and Tennessee. And this loss will haunt you, but it's the Kentucky loss, I think, that will really, really haunt you. Just because they're 1-7 and they're not any good and they didn't score over 20 points in an SEC game. So we welcome in Tom Luginbill on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line, National College Football Analyst with ESPN. And Tom Luginbill, well, I'm going to give you the floor. That was a devastating. Florida's playing well. They're playing better football. Give Ron Roberts a ton of credit. Napier with what he's doing with Lagway on one leg, unreal. But that was a devastating loss for Ole Miss. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it was. And a bit of it was self-inflicted. I felt like this was the first time we've seen the quarterback position lose a game for Ole Miss. I had no problem with the fourth down decisions. I had a real problem with the makeup and design of the play. You want to put your 330-pound defensive tackle into the Wildcat, that's fine, but you better get his shoulders square and get him downhill through the A-gap on either side of the center. This running off tackle stuff, with, by the way, your lead blocker being Jackson Dart, it was embarrassing. And then he just completely olays and whiffs and doesn't take on the edge player, so now you have no shot. And I just thought the play design for both times was terrible. And Florida deserves a lot of credit. In fact, every Florida fan, anybody a fan or in the state of Florida that's been creating this cloud of negativity and just not being a help to the program should all be writing thank you notes and apology notes to Billy Napier, because he should be considered, as a coach of the year candidate in the conference for the job that he's done. And they deserve to win the football game. They made fewer errors, made more plays, and it was a wild outcome, but I didn't think it was an overly stunning outcome. And I think I mentioned that to you last week.
Yeah. No, I agree. I wasn't surprised Florida won. Now, if you'd have made me pick a team, I'd have picked Ole Miss. I tell you what, when the game sped up, so they don't score in the first quarter, Luke's, neither team. And then the two teams dropped 28 points in the second quarter. It gets real wild and crazy. And then three apiece in the third. But I thought as the game sped up and the pressure was there at 17-17, that Lagway handled pressure really well, whether he's a freshman or a fifth-year senior. His poise is incredible.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know how that happened, and I don't know about his parents and upbringing, but so impressed with that young man because Ole Miss was bringing pressure. One thing about Golding in that front, they're nasty. And I thought Ole Miss dropping footballs that were hitting in the that's not what they do, Tom Luginbill. So when the game, when it got going in the fourth quarter and everything was on the line, Florida handled the pressure, and Ole Miss did not, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ole Miss looked like Indiana. It looked they didn't handle the moment. Kirk Cignetti said they didn't handle the noise, whether that noise be in the stadium or external from expectations and all of those sorts of things. But yeah, when it got close and you needed a play to be made, Florida made it, and Ole Miss didn't. And I'll say this too, against that Ole Miss front, I was really impressed with Florida's ability to run the football. I thought the run game was creative. And by the way, that running back's a true freshman too. Number 3 national starters right now with this Florida football team, and a level of confidence that is really, really impressive for the Gators and the job that they've done. But now it's interesting to see how the committee is going to react to all of this, because I know there's a strong SEC narrative. There's also a strong Big Ten narrative. I actually think that the Big Ten as a conference is below average at best. They have 2 to 3 teams.
I agree.
And everybody else isn't any good. But I'll say this. I also think that there are more mediocre teams in the SEC this year than we've seen in recent years.
I agree.
And the fact that we don't have divisions, Bo, has, it's created some challenges because not all schedules are created equal. If you look at Oklahoma and Florida's schedule, that's different than Texas' schedule.
Yeah.
All right. And when you don't have divisions, you look at, SMU didn't have to play Miami and Florida. All right. That's their luck of the draw. Maybe next year they will. You look at Auburn's schedule this year, look at Auburn's schedule next year. If Auburn fixes the quarterback position, go look at their schedule next year. They have got a great schedule, but without divisions, it all depends on what the luck of the draw is. So I think that's played a role, too, in the competitive balance top to bottom.
Tom Luginbill talking SEC football and Ole Miss and Florida's game in Gainesville. National college football analyst with ESPN. Lugs joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. How did you have DJ Lagway rated? What did you think about him, like his senior year in high school? Tell me about him. I think he's got so much upside, and he's been playing on one leg with the hammy the last 2 weeks, but yet has made some big plays and big moments, Luke's.
Made some plays with guys hanging all over him in the passing game. He made 2 throws the other day. I still can't figure out how he pulled it off. Is leading the charge. And so it's not just about, and I think that's